Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experience, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Joe Obamani, the general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, we're back on the DJ Insider Podcast, and this week we have a very special guest, David Ray Cross Jr. out of Houston, Texas. Welcome to the podcast, David. So glad to have you on.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's awesome.
You own a couple of companies. The first is Dynamic Celebrations, is a multi-op doing, is it mostly weddings, or kind of what's the scope of your work with Dynamic Celebrations?
Yeah, for sure. So Dynamic Celebrations as a multi-op here in Texas, serving really Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. It's kind of the Texas Triangle, as we would call it. Really focuses heavy on weddings and corporate. Those kind of go back and forth depending on which market we're in at the time for where we're going to see the most types of events that we're seeing from it. But yeah, definitely higher end types of bookings. So definitely not just your backyard party. We're definitely looking at your larger corporate activations or your larger types of weddings.
Nice. And you're also the owner or CEO of DJ University.
Yes. So DJ University is definitely where I spend a lot of my time now. My team pretty much runs the day-to-day for Dynamic Celebrations. And so I get to just be able to oversee things handling there. DJ University is where I am the CEO of, was brought on to really be able to change the trajectory that DJ University started as. So DJ University started as a bedroom DJ training program to be able to teach just DJs how to learn how to DJ, how to be able to mix, and how to be able to get out there in the world. When I had joined with my business partner, actually for some one-on-one coaching that I was grabbing on the DJ industry and how to be able to learn things here, had ended up realizing that my background from my corporate side and working with Fortune 500 companies had really benefited the DJ sector, and to be able to understand how training and multi-ops could really be able to be revolutionized and really bring a hiring component on board as well, and to bring this whole HR sense into formalize really our industry, which is something that hasn't been able to be done up to now. And so that was where we realized that DJ University could make some complete changes. So he brought me on as the CEO and as a partial owner to the company. And so now that's where I spend my pretty much day-to-day, is getting to talk to DJ owners throughout the country, being able to help them, bring them into our programs, to be able to give them complete white labeled onboarding, white labeled training, white label hiring, and full HR management. So,
yes. Now, we first met last week at the Midwest DJs Live conference, and sitting down at a roundtable discussing, hiring, retainment. And right away, we were just going around the table sharing. It was obvious that you had a lot of structure, a lot of systems in place already with hiring and training. I was blown away. And so I wanted to get to know you, hear more about kind of what you're doing. And then I learned about DJ University, and I was like, okay, yes, I have to have this guy on the podcast. I want to know everything about this. How did you get started in weddings, DJing, the beginning? How did you get into what you're doing now?
For sure. Well, we all say we have the passion for music, and that's the similar story to where we all start. So back when I was like 8 years old, like really just driven by music. And actually, I had started a lawn company at the same time. So I had a cell phone that my neighbor had gave me, and like I really wanted a cell phone. And like that was like the thing that I had to figure out. My parents said, you have to figure out how to pay for it. You're 8 years old. You don't need a cell phone. And of course, this was years ago when like kids didn't all have cell phones. So like I was like, no, I want the Motorola Razr. Like I got to be this cool 8-year-old that has this. And so I was like, okay, cool. Started a lawn business, had like 13 clients, kept it going. And I was like, I also need some extra funds to be able to buy like name brand clothes and things there. And so I would start just doing hobby type DJing there on the side, being able to do it for friends, do it for like birthday parties, things there, family events, and just really realized that, hey man, I really enjoy this. And so I got asked to DJ a wedding for a family friend. And it was like a straight like green card wedding at the time. Like they just needed somebody to play some music, do the proper ceremony and things there. And so like I had like went on, did some research real quick on like what a wedding flow looks like. And that was like my first wedding of being able to go. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, kind of like it. And so continued just doing it as just a hobby. Ended up moving several times as my dad was in retail, and ended up moving back to Texas when I turned 18. And while I was here, I got approached by some of like, hey, can you do like some light corporate events for us and things there? And was like, oh yeah, you know what? I have the equipment. Sure. Why not? Still kind of just doing it as a hobby. And then I got approached by a bar group to go ahead and be kind of their in-house DJ there for them. And so started doing more part-time, started taking on more weddings, and was just doing it as part-time fun. Had my full corporate career working with Fortune 500 companies and their training and human resource departments for regions all throughout Texas. And right before the pandemic hit was when I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go full on force with the DJ company. Like I'm ready to go ahead and see, like, could I make this a thing? And so I was ready to go ahead and give my resignation. And then I got alerted that like I was with a health company at the time, and started getting memos that were like, hey, here we're sending you need to pick areas to stay at home. We're going to be sending you these care kits, and you're going to have masks, and start wearing masks to locations you're visiting. And this was obviously now the start of the pandemic. And so I had pulled back and was like, well, you know what? There feels a little weird right now to go into the DJ industry. Let's just continue to do it part-time. And then it was a couple of weeks later that, of course, the world shut down. And I was fortunate that I did not take that full plunge. Instead, I helped solve how we were going to be distributing vaccines and how we were going to be able to make sure these clinics were all running effectively and smooth, and were teams trained in it and such from there in the world of pharmaceuticals. And so while I was doing it, Texas obviously reopened up fairly quick compared to the rest of the country. And so I was like, man, you know, like this is still a piece of me that's really excited, really wants to still grow. I want to go full time. Was using some subcontractors to help me out at some events. And so really that was where I said, hey, you know, let's go ahead and figure out kind of what that next step looks like. And so as I realized my schedule was not changing post-COVID world, it was just more workload on, I decided to go ahead and leave the healthcare industry. Went where one of my coworkers had went as well. And I realized that, you know what, corporate America is just not where it's at still. And so I decided to go ahead and pull back after some just ethical pieces that didn't align with me and where I was, and realized that it actually was leading me to the place to just fully commit 100% into the DJ business, not with really a clear plan in place. Completely just was like, I have money in savings. I'm going to go ahead and quit my nice cushion corporate job and go into the DJ world. And so I did that, started booking things very quickly, very rapidly as just the noise spread throughout my friend groups of like, hey, David's going full time on this. Like you should book him, them using word of mouth to be able to spread everything. And from there, I started realizing that, man, if I really want to be successful in this industry, I need to partner with somebody that is further along than I am in the DJ industry. So I was like, I know business. I know how to read a P&L. I know how to be able to understand the finances to it. I know when it's profitable. What I need to understand is the DJ scope, how to market to DJ clients, how to be able to understand this a little bit more. And so I had got with my coach, Ben Herman, with over at Profitable DJ, and had decided to go one-on-one and booked one-on-one coaching with him. And was like, every week was hopping on calls, figuring out like, okay, here's what my website looks like, what I thought my website should look like, which my first website looks like it was made by a man in its entirety. It was not appealing to the wedding industry whatsoever. And so like things like that, like I didn't know. I was like, oh, this is on brand. Like this is what the big companies look like, not for the theme for a wedding industry. Started partnering with guys like Alan Berg and being able to do workshops with him and being able to become actually now a close friend of myself, and being able to realize that like, hey, the insight he's able to provide. And so structured that around my business. My first year of going full solo op, we did over 100,000 in revenue. And so the problem was we had to increase quickly a team size. And so that following year increased over from Houston into the Dallas market and started hiring on DJs that were willing to travel between our markets, and started just blossoming from there. Austin was like, hey, we got asked to go to Austin, and was like, okay, hey, cool, we'll go there. And then all of a sudden we had a venue that was recommending us. And so it was like, now we're doing Austin weddings. And so that's just kind of how everything has been built, was around this structure of like, hey, yes, we're going to say yes, and we're going to continuously be able to grow and expand. But luckily I had the background in the training and the human resource side to know, here's how an adult learner is going to learn. Here's the best way, the best practices that companies like CVS Health use, Love's Travel Stops, Dollar Tree stores, Walmart, McDonald's. They all use these systems in place. And so I was able to understand we have to do that same thing inside our business. And so that was what had attracted my business partner was, hey, you're doing something that I kind of thought was something that we should do in the DJ industry. Let's see what that could actually look like. And so when we dove behind the scenes, that was where it was like, hey, I have DJ University. We tried to launch it as this. We stopped. I've always wanted to do something like this. You have the background for it. And then DJ University was really born from that. And that was about 2 years ago. So we went through some beta work and went through some alpha testing and went through and created what is now DJ University in its existence today, of now where I have my multi-op that's running very successfully. And then I have now DJ University that is really engaging with owners on a daily basis, trying to help them figure out what does their training look like, what could be easier for them, what does their hiring look like. I mean, literally, I know we talked at Midwest, like literally overnight, just flipping a light switch. And you could go from, I have no training process, no SOPs, no standard operating procedures, to overnight, man, I know I have a process on how to hire. I have a process on how to train. They can literally watch white label videos and be able to take tests, and we grade them at DJ University for you. But it looks like your company in its entirety on its profiles and where they log in. So your team just immediately thinks like you're this company that's invested so much into training that you look like you have a Starbucks training program inside your DJ company overnight. And then how to handle these crazy HR issues that start coming as you scale. And I know, like we talked about your listeners kind of being all different walks of life on the podcast, but like if you're a solo op and you go to become a multi-op, it's a scary leap that you have to make at that point. And like the certainty there is where, like, having all these things, knowing that they can be turned on overnight for you, it prevents a lot of that. As a multi-op, it's scary when you have something happen. Somebody just talks back to you and you're like, I don't know how to handle that. Like, do I write them up? Do I fire them? Like, what do I do in this situation? Right. So like for us, all of our license partners that we have that are a part of our executive license network at DJ University, they have that guidance 24/7 to be able to have, whether it be with someone on my team or it gets forwarded on to me, they're always being able to have somebody to be on their side to be able to help figure out their training, figure out their hiring, or being able to help really coach them through those difficult conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just blown away at just your level of professionalism, your organization. I want to know more. Like I'm as a multi-app owner, I had to learn the hard way. A lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error, and long process to onboard somebody, get them trained, get them up where they're profitable for the company. And I'm trying more and more each year to get better at that, cut that time down, find the right people, get them in the right position and teach them the right things, get them equipped, get them out in the field working events as soon as possible. And just sharing a little bit about at the roundtable and then talking to you afterwards, I was like, yes, I got to get to know this guy more because he has something that I don't have, which is that organization, that scalability, the processes in the right place. I'm just blown away. DJ University, can you share a little bit more about that? And what specifically you can help with multi-app owners like myself? We're running, I think, 6 to 7 leads right now. We'd love to. We're literally turning away work every year. I mean, it makes me sick. September 26th, we turned away 5 weddings that could have been, top paying clients. We just don't have the team to support it. And I'm not going to overbook myself and hope for the best, hope I can have a junior DJ ready in time, And so I'm like really looking to talk to somebody like you in a position that's organized, that really understands the unique needs that someone like my multi-app has.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and so I think like the biggest thing, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like your reputation being online, that's probably super important to you.
Yes.
And I'm sure to your listeners as well, because that's like the number one thing I hear is like, oh man, my 5-star rating or my 4-star rating, whatever it ends up being, whatever rating someone has, they're super proud of their rating.
Yeah.
So like, that's the scary part is like, oh, I don't want to take on more gigs because what if I can't fulfill those gigs by the time they come around? What if I have to send out a DJ that's less than my standard is at that point? And so that fear kind of sets in. And I think that's like the biggest piece that sets us back, honestly, from when we're able to like fully be able to grasp our future is the fear of the unknown. And because like you said, it takes a lot of time. I mean, even just to create the whole entire program of DJ University took years to develop before we were to the point where it was like, hey, this makes sense. This has been tested. This has been proven. Not just like surface level, but like, hey, it's going to explain to somebody in different ways. It's going to let them read. It's going to let them watch videos. It's going to let your team be able to function. But then also realizing that your team only can grasp so much. Like there still has to be you as a leader that has to lead the business and still has to go through. So for us, like we definitely we have like basically the 2 tracks inside, which is one is for the owner and one is for your actual team that's there in place. And so for the team member, we go everything from like, let's start day one when you hire the person on board, like when you're opening your job rec, what does that process look like? Where should you be advertising this? What copy should you be using? Like what should that look like worded? Like, does your advertisement make sense? Where should you market to these people? Are you looking for experienced DJs or are you looking for people off the street that just have good customer service skills? And then trying to figure out what's the difference between the two. Then do you want to go 1099 subcontractor route or do you want to go W-2 employees? There's all these questions that you have to really figure out before you even take that step. And we just give you the system and say like, here's the keys to the kingdom. Like this is gonna what's gonna work for you. So you're able to just to plug and play these types of things in, and then realizing that like from there, then it's how do you interview somebody? And like a lot of us, I mean, let me ask you, Mike. Like, do you feel like you're really good at interviewing people?
No.
No, right?
Not really.
Right. So when you hire somebody, what are you hiring based off of?
Lately, I've been looking for do they have these core values? Do they kind of match what our culture is? You know, things like, do they have communication skills? Can they be punctual? Can I, trust when I'm not there that they'll follow through? They have integrity. I'm looking for more character-based things rather than skills-based things. I'd love to have both, but I lean towards more picking someone who's a good fit for our team. I was like, this guy fits in, or this girl fits in. Like this makes sense, and I think we can train them up to get them ready to perform. We literally just fired somebody last week when I was at Midwest DJs Live because they weren't a good fit. They were just hired too, but they had a lot of previous experience as a DJ, but it was very clear that they weren't going to be a good fit in our culture. They're very, on their own, kind of island-based thinking, like they're the best. They don't need to communicate. They're going to show up when they show up. It's just very immature kind of thinking. But yeah, that's basically in a nutshell. In interviewing, I have a few questions I like to ask and a few like scenario-based questions. What would you do? And beyond that, I'm really just trying to get to know them, how they talk about themselves, how they talk about the work they've done, what they're able to do.
Perfect. Yeah. So a lot of gut-based is what it sounds like.
Yes,
and that's like 99% of the population, not just DJ owners, but like of the population that just go gut-based and are like, yeah, they feel like this is a good vibe. And so then you hire them. Where at like DJ University, what we actually teach and break that mold is like, you want to trust your gut, yes, but what we want to really do is have so much data that proves that like this is the right type of person. So like, as you said it, the like, what would you do types of questions work way better than like, do you think you'll be on time every time? Have you always been on time to previous jobs, right? They're yes or no's. What we look for is more of like, hey, tell me about a time when you personally received great customer experience. And they're like, if we have somebody that answers that and is like, oh, well, I've provided great customer experience and blah, 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 blah. Well, they've already answered the wrong question. They're not answering the question the way we worded it. So like for us, that's actually the test, is how did they answer the question? Not what the answer they gave. It's did they answer the right question the right way? So we train on things like that. And we have our interview guides that we give out that are specific to there. And we have a very straight process of like how we want to do a job application, to then how do we do a questionnaire, to then how we take them to a video audition, to then we take them to a Zoom interview, to then we take them to an in-person interview. And people are like, man, that's a lot of steps. And it's like, well, I'm trusting somebody with a once in a lifetime event. I want to make sure that person's vetted. Like and that's the difference that goes through. But along the way, having actual systems in place is where it goes. So everybody gets asked the same types of interview questions. They all follow the same flow. Yeah, every interview still has a little bit of personality. It could pivot slightly, but we always get back to that same structure. And that's what makes our license partners the most successful when they're going through that hiring process. So then when they make their offer, if they get down to 3 people that are sitting at their desk, they're like, man, I could hire all 3 of these people. And I have one, Greg Lozano over Party People Montana. I'll give him a shout out here. He's over there in Bozeman, Montana. And like, he's literally been like, I've gotten to the final interview stage. And he's like, I only wanted 1. And he's like, and I ended up hiring 3. Like, and he has 3 people come on board. He went from, in less than a year, from having 2 people, him and 1 other person, to now having 8 people plus himself as a backup on the team. So it's like, those are the types of things that, like, when you interview the right way, like, you're able to keep people longer. Yeah. And then like, once they get hired, then we take them through their onboarding process. And that's where I know we had talked at Midwest about like a best day ever, and really having like this whole structure around just making sure that the person feels 100% that they belong and they made a good choice. Because no one hates their boss day one. They all love their boss because they hired them. They gave them a job. They gave them money. No one hates them day one. You hate your boss after you've worked with them for a while. So that's where it's like, day one, we want to just make it a big celebration for them. And then we give them that formalized training and a set structure, a set roadmap that tells, this is what you're going to learn each week over the next 12 weeks. We're going to have you be able to fully be able to be out on events. And it tells you them when they should start sending to events, when they should be able to ask questions, what the owner literally can just like open up their portal and be like, okay, they say they completed week 1. Let me ask them these questions to make sure I validate that they had it. So we're guiding you along the whole entire way, how to have team meetings in place, when you should have team meetings. Because I have some companies that I've heard of that do weekly meetings. And then some are like, we meet once a year. And others are like, team meeting? What is that? I would never know how to do one of those. And so like, we give that proper cadence of like, here's what actually works to where your team doesn't get overwhelmed, how to structure them the right way and keep everything. So that really is where things go for them as like your DJs get hired on. And then we quarterly recertify in certain topics to make sure that like things are staying top of mind, or new laws that get passed. It's my job to stay up on top of those things to make sure that your team stays compliant. Workplace violence, right? Like, that's a big one. Wow. I know nobody ever likes to talk about it, and DJs don't typically talk about it, but it's like, hey, you could be liable as a business owner if somebody does something to somebody on your team. And a lot of people don't realize those things until they have that situation happen and they're paying a lot of money out and they're like, oh man, this sucks. And then they're stuck trying to figure that out. So then we also provide the owner with weekly coaching, so that way they're able to understand how to be a better leader, how to follow through with leadership programs, how to create their own specific SOPs if they need to for their company as well. And really just how to manage people that they're not used to managing. So how do you take Bob, who's an amazing DJ, but has a problem being on time to trainings, or has a problem that he doesn't ever answer your calls when you call him and always just let you go to voicemail. And then you're like, I really need to know what's going on. Or someone that forgets to get 5-star video testimonials for you. Like, how do you handle that person? But they're an overall great performer. And so we dive into that on those types of calls to be able to help out and to be able to help guide you through that process. And that's really how DJ University comes full scope, is it's not just for just your DJ, it's for you as the owner who still loves DJing as well. Because we will never lose that passion. I still have an extreme passion to get out and get behind the decks. But I also have this major passion for being able to help people and to be able to want to see people grow bigger and better than what I could even do. And so that's where is really DJ University stepped in, is like, hey, it really is that university that you could attend to be able to get your bachelor's, your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, and your doctorate's degree in DJing, and to really be able to be successful in your business.
Dr. DJ, I love that. What's one of your favorite things about running a multi-op, DJing in a multi-op, and then of course one of your favorite things about running the university?
Yeah, so I think still getting to be a part of everybody's special moments. I think that's like the biggest one. I've always have said that like the day I'm not moved by like seeing a father-daughter dance. So I have a daughter, and like when I see the father-daughter dance and I get emotional with it, like that's where I know like, hey man, we're still making a good impact. When I see a first dance, like the day I don't get emotional about a first dance is the day we should stop doing weddings in our company. And so like my leadership team that we have as well, they have to have that same type of passion. They have to have that same type, like we all are going to have our off days. But it's recognizing that like when that moment fades, that's the moment that we should probably sell our company. That's the moment we shouldn't have that there anymore. Because it is a privilege. It's not just a right for us to have the DJ company and to be a part of these people's moments that, again, they hope for will be their one and only type of celebration that they're having for a wedding, for a corporate event. Watching a CEO get up there and be able to inspire and motivate an entire team of 400 or 500 people, like those types of moments when you get that chill feeling that just like is like, oh man, like I felt that, like, and you're like, man, I was a part of that because we provided the audio that allowed him to project his voice in that type of setting. Those are the cool things about the DJ business. Definitely getting to share that experience with team members and seeing team members that are able to have that same smile on their face that are like, oh man, David, hey, like this is cool to be able to see. This is exciting. And to see them like even master more technical skill than what I even thought was possible is definitely cool. Even being able to have DJs that have DJ'd before and they come and work for us and they do our training program and are like, I learned something new. I learned something I didn't know in my years of DJing before, but you guys taught me this. I'm like, that's like super impressive to me because I am really big on legacy. So like people are motivated by different things. Some are by money, some are by title. So I mean, like you could be like the janitor, but if you're the chief janitor, like you're like, oh yeah, hey man, this is awesome, right? Some are like, hey, pay me to be the janitor $1 million and I'll be the best janitor in the world. For me, I'm definitely more on the legacy side where I'm like, hey, if I feel like I'm making an impact, like that's what I want to do in the world. It's where every company I've been with, I've always made sure I've aligned my values to it, which is just to provide everybody with honor, dignity, and respect, and to get people to do bigger and better things than what I can do. So it's always lead today as I want others to lead tomorrow. And so for me, that's what DJ University's platform has been able to give me, is now I'm able to do this, not just with my company in Texas, but it's now scaled larger to where I can impact DJs in Indiana. I can impact them in New York. I can do California. I have Canada. Like I can go up in Mexico. Like it's amazing that like now it's not limited just to one state, which is super large to begin with. But now I'm able to not only impact my team, but I'm also able to impact other people's teams by impacting a leader to change how they're leading and to be able to grow. Like Greg, seeing that when he was just telling me yesterday about his numbers and like $300,000 of new revenue alone, like that is crazy to be able to see that in a year's time, he was able to do that because he got the team and got the keys to be able to unlock that revenue for himself. And that's life-changing for somebody. Yeah. I mean, that's life-changing for him as an owner, and then watching what he's able to do for his team. That's where it's like, man, you know what? It's no longer just DJing just to make one special moment. It's DJing to really change people's lives and to disrupt our industry from the norm of just like, hey, we're performers and like, we're just the DJ. No, we're business owners. We're here to curate something that's super impressive.
Oh man. Oh, so fantastic. I'm getting chills just listening to you. I was like, yes, I love it. What are some of the challenges about running a multi-op, about running a university?
Yeah, I would definitely say from running a multi-op, definitely just making sure the systems are always in place. is definitely, I mean, even in my own, I still have to make sure that I monitor the system that was there, right? So am I checking in when I'm supposed to check in and follow up? Like, am I following up with management to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, and are they following up on their systems? So follow up, I think, is always the biggest challenge that we have. It's just because no one wants to hold people accountable, but everybody wants accountability. And I know that sounds weird when I say it, but like as humans, we're wired psychologically to want to be held accountable. We want to have structure in our life, and we want to be told when we're not doing something right so we can correct it. And so I know even for myself, like I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, you need to make sure that you're still following up with your team to make sure that like you are there for them and you are supporting them. And as such for them as well. I think for running the university, the biggest challenge is like every market, like the common thing I hear, and I'm sure you've said it because I know I said it many times before I had DJ University, is my market's a little bit different. We do things a little bit differently in my market. It's like if DJs had a shirt, it would be like, I'm a DJ. And on the back, it would be like, and my market's a little bit different. It's the common thing I hear. And so just trying to get through that mindset piece of like, yes, your market can be a little bit different, but like applying these principles still work. They're tested, they work, they're rinse and repeated. And really being able to get an owner to be able to see it in their eyes of what their true potential is. Because I oftentimes can see those things before they're able to see it themselves. Mm. And so I think like, if I was to tell people, think bigger than what you're thinking right now, because your DJ company doesn't have to just stay limited, or your event company. I never would have thought I would have went into the photo booth industry. Like when I first was thinking, and like we went there, and we do amazing photo booths now. Like people love them. Like that's a whole standalone to our business. But even like, would I have thought like I would have taken my business knowledge and applied it to a whole entire program to be able to help other DJ companies throughout the world? No, and that's not initially what I thought, but I thought bigger all of a sudden and was like, well, if I can do this, like, and this is not the norm, because I thought that was the norm of like, hey, you start a DJ business, you make 6 figures your first year. That's normal. And I found out very quickly from people that was not normal. Like they were like, you're doing something. Document what you're doing, because we need to know what's the keys to that. That's not normal your first year. And then to see a 20% growth continuous, like that's not normal. Like, how are you doing this? Like, what's going on? Like, and so like, I think the piece to it was I started to think bigger, was like, okay, we did 100,000. Can we do 300,000? Cool. Like, can we do 5? Like, where can we go from here? Hey, can I have a larger team? Can I be in multiple markets? And then it was, how do I like take what I want to actually do and make it happen inside this world? So this isn't just a short-term career for me. This becomes my long-term solution. And so I think like that's my advice to people, is think bigger than where you're thinking now. If you're a solo op and you're like, man, I'm still working full time and I'm trying to do this. Like, think bigger. Where will you be? Write it down. That where you're going to be in a year from now will be that you're a full-time operator in your business. Like you're able to leave that full-time job, because that's going to be the first step. And then figuring out who to surround yourself to get you there. And then if you're the multi-op that's like, man, I'm doing already 6 figures, I'm doing 250,000, I'm doing 150,000, which is normally like that number that I see most multi-ops where they're like, hey, I'm trying to do like 150. They have to, after that, they're like, hey, I'm not solo anymore. I'm a multi-op. I'm using some 1099s. Like if you're at that point, or you're at the 350 mark, 450, the next step is like, could you do millions? Could you be there? And yes, you can. You just don't have the right systems in place to get you to that moment. And so systems are really the piece that solves everything. Like if you don't have the system, and it can't live here. So many times I just got off of a call right before we were doing this podcast, and it was like, everything lives here. And I'm like, oh, if everything lives here, what happens if something was tragically to happen to you? Like nothing's documented. Nobody knows what to do. And so it's like those systems have to live. They have to breathe. Your team has to understand what that process is. So then things happen and they just are able to follow the system that's there. I'll give you a quick example. This past weekend, we had a photo booth event that was going on, and our team has a $100 limit that they can just buy up to $100. They have a company card. They can just buy whatever. I'm not worried about I mean, it needs to be a legit expense, but like,
but an incidental thing they need.
If something's applying to a business or they're needing to wow a client, like, sure, a bride needs ice brought to them before the wedding. Go buy $100 worth of ice, bring it to them, make them happy, whatever. Not going to care. Something breaks, you need to go buy a cord real quick, $100. Like, we're not going to have it. Then we have like our trip above $250 triggers the manager, and they now need to go and just make sure I'm looped into what broke. Well, we had a printer that gust of wind came and it knocked the table over, outdoor event, smashed the printer open. It broke one of the wheels for that holds the paper. Team already ordered replacement part because they thought that was all that was broken on it. They brought the backup equipment out, set it up, event went fine. The real though ended up being that majority of like, they brought it back, started testing it. Hey, you know what? No, the printer actually has like internal component issues. Then it got sent over to me of like, hey, we need to go ahead and send it for a replacement. Because it, again, went over the limit. But I didn't have to tell them like, hey, you need to order an extra one of the wheels. They just automatically knew that, hey, it's broken. It's less than $100. It's $40. Order it. The replacement will be here. That's the piece that when your team's doing that much flow for you, that system just works. You're not having to be involved in the day-to-day. It's just now flowing. The system's you just managing it and knowing like, okay, yeah, hey, bad things happen. I didn't have to know that the printer was down on the ground. I didn't have to get a call of like, hey, the printer's broken. What do we do right now? No, they knew get backup equipment, get the event running again, order this as we're on our way back, fill out the incident report, let everybody know that, hey, this is what happened, red tag it so that way it gets back. That's what a system does for you. And so many times I talk to DJ owners, they don't have a clear system like that that's documented. So they don't know, your team doesn't know what to do. And if your team doesn't know what to do, then you kind of are just bowling blindfolded. And so they're just kind of just throwing bowling balls everywhere. And sometimes it hits pins, but sometimes the pins are on 3 lanes over. So it's like, where is it going? So wow, it's different.
I was going to actually kind of already got to it. I was going to ask any advice you have for DJ solo ops who want to go multi-op owners who want to expand. You kind of already touched on that. Do you have advice for couples looking for a wedding DJ? Things they should look for, things they should avoid?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say vet your companies. So not all DJs are created equal. I will say that just straight up, like if you are a wedding couple and you're looking, your biggest piece that you can do is find a company that has those backups in place. So that was honestly what did it for me of like, oh, I should be a multi-op instead of a solo op, was to be able to provide that guarantee that like, hey, we will have a backup DJ respond if need be to your wedding, to your event, if something was to happen. And so it's always preparing for that. So asking those questions of like, hey, if something was to happen, and this is no like shade onto a solo op, like if you're a solo op and you're doing great, you just need to have a contingency plan in place of like, do you have a partner in your market that like you could call if something was to go wrong? And I know like some of you are probably listening in and are like, David, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about here. Like I speak from experience when I speak. And we had, Mike, I think I might've been telling you about it at Midwest that like we had an event and like was rolling down the highway. She was driving the car. Rain started coming out of nowhere, hydroplaned, hit a wall, ping ponged off of it. Airbags all deploy. I get the call because I see that like accident has happened. Your vehicle's been involved in an accident. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm getting the call. She's still inside the vehicle. And it's like, yeah, I'm in the vehicle right now. The airbags are all deployed. I don't think this car is going to be drivable to the wedding. And I'm like, I don't even care about the wedding right now. Like, did you call 911? No, I haven't yet. I'm like, hang up with me and call 911. What's going on? I'm like, meanwhile, I'm mobilizing already our secondary backup team with our emergency response team is what we call them. So our ERT. And I'm like, okay, get equipment, head out. Like we may not be there on time. Let's figure out, we'll figure out what's going on in the collision. She ends up still even going to the wedding because she's like, I'm good. I'm not injured. I'm going to go. I'm going to meet with the team and we're going to both go do this wedding. But because we had the system in place of like, here's what happens if this was to happen, we still showed up to the wedding. Bride didn't know really full circumstances to everything. I mean, we filled her in just because like, we were like, hey, we may not be there to start playing music right, have everything set up right when your first guest arrives. It may be by your 5th guest. And so we just filled her in on a quick text and she's like, oh my gosh, like we can postpone the wedding ceremony time by a few hours if need be. And I'm like, nope, we're good. We already are on the way. We have it all solved. but it's that level of like, hey, things can happen. And when they do happen, like we weren't worried about all the equipment. We weren't worried about what was going on. Bride was like amazed that we still showed up for the wedding and still was able to do the wedding. And so like for there, that's where I'm like, if you're a solo op, it's a little bit harder, but have somebody that you know with inside. So if you're a couple, those are the questions that I would say to ask is like, what happens like if something was to go wrong? Like, because that gives you peace of mind on your wedding day. And when I talk to couples, or even in the sales process that we've developed, it's all about stress-free. You want a stress-free day. And that's what your vendor should promise you. Any of your vendors should promise you a stress-free day. And so for me, it's less about what's the equipment that my DJ is going to use. Like they're DJs, they're professionals. They're going to know what they should do to be able to rock a party.
Yeah.
They're going to know what to be able to do. They need to know, like, do you want line dances or not? No line dances, just so that way they know, like, can they use that as a tool to get people out in the crowd? What you want to know from them, though, is how are they going to solve for you if the timeline goes completely array because you just found out that your cat died earlier that morning and your makeup's been running, and like, what are you going to do in that moment? What's your DJ going to do to help that situation? Or like my ice situation. We don't have ice and the caterers freaking out because they forgot to bring the cooler of ice there for whatever. Like, and your DJ, is your DJ one that can help solve that problem and be that type of person? Because your DJ in most cases is just as important as your coordinator. They're just as important as your day of coordinator. They're problem solvers, sometimes better than what your coordinator can be. They're there managing everything. And so you just want to validate that with them, that they're truly going to be there to support you and that they're not just playing to their own ego. And luckily, I think like anybody that's listening to the podcast, that's in the industry or that knows Mike, is obviously not an ego-based DJ. So like definitely reaching out to like Mike to be able to hit him up to figure out like, hey, if it's not his company's available, like who does he recommend is definitely the other piece. Because just even meeting some of the guys that Mike hangs around, like hands down, are guys that aren't ego-based and that are wanting just to help out the industry however they can.
Yeah, we try to be. We're one of the biggest multi-ops in the area, so we get a lot of calls. DJ, they overbooked themselves, or one of their DJs went down, and we try to do our best to meet that need, because we call it the show must go on. You know, like you said, once in a lifetime event. We got to guarantee it. We got to make it stress free as much as in our power. We got to be there. We got to show up and just do an amazing job, because they're creating memories, and we're missing out if we're not able to perform. So that's huge. For DJs who have heard the podcast, who want to learn a bit more about DJ University, what's the best way they can contact you?
Yeah, for sure. So djuniversity.com. That's our website to be able to find out more info, be able to connect there. Also learn at Learn from DJU on Instagram or TikTok. Those are great ways to be able to get connected with us there as well. You always can look me up as well at David Ray Cross Jr. Send us a DM. Like that's honestly how a lot of conversations have gotten started, is just, hey, can you help me in this X, Y, and Z? I'd love to be able to take time to be able to look into your business and learn a little bit about more what you're doing and provide that type of guidance from what I can see. I mean, I always tell people, no sales pitch. Like it's me not gatekeeping. It's me just trying to help you and help our industry get better at performing. Honestly, to me, if DJ University is something that you want to learn more about and you're like, hey, I just want this program, like, then yeah, we can definitely go down that avenue and be able to talk that avenue as well. But if it's just sometimes being that sounding board and having somebody be able to say like, hey, yeah, I think you're going in the right direction, or, ooh, man, you should pivot. you should pivot right now.
Pivot.
Like those are those types of conversations that are all had. And I mean, I think, Mike, you got to see that there at Midwest as well. Like just being able to be that person to want to help and want to be able to share the insight. Really, I tell people, always find the who, not the how. If you are the do-it-yourselfer that's always trying to just figure out how to do everything yourself, like you'll figure it out, but you trade time, and time is so valuable in our world. Everything's so fast moving that, like, if you can just find the person that's really good at doing it and they already have the how and you can just plug and play, that's how I've been the most successful in my entire life, is always finding the system and plugging the system. So if maybe that's just picking somebody's brain. Maybe that is going and saying, hey, let me get this whole white label program in place. But ultimately, the only way you scale is by elevating yourself and surrounding yourself around people that are doing bigger and better things than you are. And so that's my overall advice, overall ways of contacting is just reach out. Don't be that person that's like, oh, this was really cool. I enjoyed listening to it for a minute, and then take no action. Always seem to take action on what you do.
Mm. Well, David, I just so appreciate your insights today. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. We'd definitely love to have you back on in the future. But just thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate you being on here. Appreciate your listeners supporting your channel and being able to follow on, and can't wait to be able to tell some more people about the podcast.
Yes, awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you at your wedding.